Well, at one point, you do get back to the studio and you put together the song One Day.
Yeah.
And Bruno Mars was one of the producers on that song?
Writer and producers on it, yeah.
And this was before Bruno Mars blew up as a artist himself.
He couldn't get a record deal. He was yelling at me in the studio. He's like, how the fuck did you get a record deal, Matis? I mean, he was literally going, he would leave the studio to go play for like a bunch of people so at some label, and then he would come back all pissed off, you know, and they didn't get it. They didn't see him as a star, you know, that he, even though he had like hit after hit, he had been writing already, you know. But yeah, I mean, I worked on a record in those days. So my manager, you know, I remember, I'll never forget him saying this, you have to go away. That was the idea, right? In today's day and age, that's just career suicide. You think about like, you know, not being relevant, not putting music out, not being current and continuing. The idea was, you know, go take some time, go make a really deep record, take 2 years, take 3 years, you know, and I did. And, you know, it sucked because I came back, I had this album, I'd worked with this dude, David Kahn, who's known for kind of being real overproducing and spending a lot of time on things. And I worked with him every day in his basement, you know, and we made this record and we handed it in. And at that time, you know, all the labels were scrambling, trying to figure out how they were going to make money, what they were going to do. They hired this woman, Amanda Ghost, a hit writer from the UK. And she was like, there's no hits on this album. You know, you got to go make a hit. And I was totally cool with that. I was like, fine. You know, I've been on tour with this dude named Akon from Canada. And he has this song called Waving Flag, which later got picked up by the World Cup, which is funny because One Day got picked up by the Olympics and he got picked up by World Cup. And I had asked him who produced it for him because he had played it for me on tour and he mentioned these guys. So when she said she wanted me to do a hit, I said, okay, I want to go record with the guy who produced this song for Akon. And she goes, just so happens the A&R I brought in is their manager on a plane the next day to LA and working with Bruno and one other guy. And we wrote One Day. You know, it's just kind of like, this is the song, this is what we want, this is the goal. And that's what Bruno is, you know, he's incredible. I've never seen anyone just be like, take a style and just be like, okay, this is the song from this style that you're trying to kind of, you know, create your own version of it. Boom, here it is. You know, it's just, he'll deliver that.
Yeah, that's actually my favorite song by you.
Well, there you go.
One Day. Yeah.
It's a lot of people's favorite songs.
Yeah, no, I feel, you know, I understand like Live Like a Warrior is probably a bigger song numbers wise, but that to me is my favorite song.
Oh, no. One Day is by far the biggest song. Yeah, more than Sunshine or Live Like a Warrior. That's the biggest one.
Okay, and that song kind of became a theme song for like pro-Israel rallies over time.
It became a theme song for a lot of things. I mean, it's a song, they use it in the liturgy, in prayer, in synagogues. They use it at every summer camp. They use it at fundraisers all over. They use it for sure. I'm sure that a lot of pro-Israel people use it. It's been used, Arabs and Jews singing together. People put it in commercials. It gets used in a lot of athletics, sports stuff, the French Open, you know, video games, FIFA, soccer game. I mean, that song is kind of like, you know, we wrote it to be this massive anthem, this peace song, and it was, and it never did well on radio. It failed on radio. I went from radio station to radio station for 8 months to pop stations after having already a hit at alt rock or whatever, and people had no idea who I was, and I went, and it didn't research well, and they dropped it, and they dropped me, and then the song, you know, over time, it's one of those songs that just snowballs. It gets bigger and bigger. So it's a true hit, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree. And Akon actually jumped on the remix, and Akon is Muslim. Me and Akon go way back. That's my man.
Yeah.
But I think that was dope to have a Jew and a Muslim on a big song like that.
Yeah, I mean, no one listens to that version. They spent like $100,000 without asking me, and they just like, all right, we need a big star to do it. But that's not the version that did well. So I love, you know, I never spoke with it. I think I spoke with him once on the phone. He was super cool. I love the concept, you know, a Jew and a Muslim doing something together. It should be done. But I wish I hadn't had to pay for it. Because that's not the song that blew up, you know.
Yeah, I mean, Akon was on fire during that time, so I can see
Yeah.
why 100,000 makes sense to him.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, that is the price. You know, I'm just like, it's just like the label being stupid. Like, oh, we need to get someone to make the song big when, you know, the song is big as it is.
Right, and that came out on your third album, Light.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so Light comes out in 2009. You're around 30 at the time. By 2011, age 32, you announced that you're shaving off your beard and no more Hasidic reggae superstar.
Yeah.
Which was interesting because if you think about it visually, that was your whole thing up to this point. You're the Hasidic Jewish guy who's doing reggae.
Yeah.
And suddenly you lose that whole image. Was that a hard decision to make?
Not because of that, because that was irrelevant to me. Like the appearance aspect of it was never an important thing to me. Even though it might have been very important to other people, it might have been a part of the whole thing for people. For me, it was this, I've always been whatever I was into, even as a kid, that's the way I express myself, and I take on the full look. I take on the full thing. If I'm in synagogue for 12 hours a day, then I'm taking on the look too. You know, I'm taking on everything. And that was my thing because that's who I was. And at some point inside started to change. Like I said, I started asking lots of questions, started having different ideas and different fantasies about leaving it and fears and all kinds of things. And at some point, all those knots came undone. And I was like, oh shit, I'm me again. And I literally walked into a Supercuts on the Upper West Side and I had him shave my beard and my payas, and I was fucking crying, you know, it was 10 years. I could see my face again, you know? And I was living at my voice teacher on the Upper West Side, this humble dude, you know, older guy, older gentleman. I had a cyst on my vocal cord. So that was a big deal for me because I was gonna have to get surgery. So we were working every day in his apartment, you know, 11, 10 sessions a day, short 15-minute sessions to try to get rid of it without surgery, which we did. But I had to be on complete vocal silence. I had a stomach issue, so I was macrobiotic. I was like 165 pounds at the time. I'm like 200 now. So you get, you know, I mean, like, you know, I was in this interesting place where I was struggling and I was going through a lot, but I was doing it. I was like doing the work, and everything started to just I just felt I don't need the religion anymore. I don't need the rules. Like I'm now getting the thing that I was looking for the whole time from the beginning. And now that I have it, I can let go of all the other shit. And I couldn't really explain that to anyone, and I didn't even really care to, because at that stage of my life, that's where I was at. I kind of felt like I had done the thing. I was still gonna do it for whoever, you know, gave a shit, and it didn't really matter to me. The quest for the big hit or whatever is always there, but it wasn't the driving force for me at that point. And I was on Twitter. It was right when the internet started, so there was no protection yet. I didn't know about comments and you know, peep trolls and all that shit. Like in the early days, you just jumped in and you were in there, you know. And I saw someone quoted a lyric of mine that I had written that a lot of my lyrics sometimes, like I wouldn't understand what the lyric means, but in the future it will happen. Like, and this one is like, when the time comes, I'll lose my disguise, was like the lyric. And I'm like, oh shit, I got a show tomorrow in Denver. No one's gonna fucking recognize me. I gotta show people that I shaved. I didn't have a publicist or consult the publicist or nothing, you know? And I just went into the bathroom of my voice teacher, and it's like this weird tiles and like weird light. And I just took a picture and posted it. And a lot of people, I think, felt like, oh, wow, you know, this dude is off the deep end. He must be on drugs or something, because I looked fucked up. But I was just, you know, I was actually probably in the best place that I've ever been in my life, you know? So